Hello, this is Roland. Today I wanted to stop by to bring a special message to all my listeners and viewers. A lot of people watch me on YouTube. Or to put it another way, they watch my YouTube lectures, and a lot of people listen to my radio program. So first of all, if you watch me on YouTube and you like some of the topics and what I have to say, then you should listen to my radio program. It's really good. If you listen to my radio program and you like it, then you should watch some of the YouTube videos, okay? You can easily find them at sheddingshackles.com. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm in my late 60s, okay? And I'm just sort of a regular guy, okay? Around age 40, well, a change occurred. I think that I began to wake up. That's what it was. I began to wake up. And why it is, I don't know. I guess it was time. And then the good Lord helped with the awakening process. Then I began to realize things, to understand things that I never understood before. The more understanding I had, the more forgiving I could be. And the more sure I could be about what I knew, and doubts began to flee. That's one of the things that plagues us all, doubts. We're not sure about this, we're not sure about that, so we go to some expert. We go to this minister, this priest, this rabbi, this psychologist, this college teacher, this author, this expert. And they all have something good to say, some little tidbits of truth or little aphorisms or something that they've gleaned that's of some value. But how do you put it all together? It's like a jigsaw puzzle. You know, have you seen these great big giant jigsaw puzzles that like have 1,000 pieces? How do you put it all together? Well, I found out how you do. You have to learn to trust what you know in your heart. You have to learn to trust your intuition, your God-given intuition. Okay, and it's also called common sense. So all the way from the most basic common sense things, all the way up to the most sublime realizations about spiritual matters. Okay, it's all intuition. So that means that I can hear what other people say, and if there's anything of value, then I note it. Somehow I just note it. I don't try to note it, I just do, and that's good. If there's nothing of value, it all goes in one ear and out the other. When I grab a book, somehow I kind of can sense, and I don't know how, which books have something of value and which don't. You know, a lot of books don't. And the ones that don't have anything of value are usually the most mainstream. You know, like a giant textbook. You know, it's this thick. You know how big textbooks are now? It's a racket. You make a lot of money on those textbooks. And they keep revising them. And they add more problems, and they add all kinds of teacher's guides and student guides and everything. They make a fortune. Anyway, the bigger the textbook, the less of any value is going to be in it. Sure, there may be some formulas that you can learn or a couple of basic facts, but beyond that, see, sometimes the ones that are the most valuable are seemingly are old books or off-the-wall books. You just note something, and it turns out to be something of value. But so how do I learn? I learn from within. The outside books, the outside speakers, the outside everything provides, how should I say this, provides the raw materials, vocabulary, some jargon, a couple of formulas, and then it's collated somehow inside through my common sense and my intuition, which is God-given. And I put it all together. And then I understand. So understanding leads to understanding. And so where does my knowledge come from? Not from the outside, it comes from within. And from the outside, all I get is jargon, formulas. See? Or I see what doesn't work. On the outside, I can see, and I can see what isn't right. Somehow I just see when people have something all wrong. I just see it. Okay? So anyway, the bottom line is I'm self-taught. Okay? So, about myself. Well, I've been on the radio for 28 years. And what happened was, when I started to get better, I started to understand some basic things. Oh, what I began to say earlier is, the more understanding I had, the more forgiving I could be. I became less judgmental. Less judgmental, less angry, less resentful. See? And I began to see that other people were lost sheep. They had doubts. They didn't understand. They went to the wrong people who gave them the wrong advice. And they got all messed up. See? Confused. And the more they went to all different sources, the more confused they became, and the more they needed the outside sources who misled them and took advantage of them. Once in a while you find the right one, which is good, but how do you find the right one? Well, you have to get lucky. But there ought to be a better process than just getting lucky. See, you ought to be able to see. You ought to be able to see. You know, when you watch a mechanic, you can tell whether the mechanic's any good or not. If the mechanic's no good and charges too much and something not quite right, then just don't go there anymore. Find another one, because there are good mechanics. You see. So there's a little trial and error involved, but then all of a sudden you find the right one. See, it's a discovery process. One time I wrote a book called Finding the Discovery Path. It was a beautiful book. I self-published it, and it came out with spiral binding, you know. Have you ever seen that cute little slogan, learning's supposed to be fun, and supposed is misspelled. It's really cute. But it is, it's like little children learn. See? Little tiny children learn at lightning speed. They learn how to walk, they learn how to talk. They learn everything at lightning speed. And it's a fun. Every day is an adventure. That's the way life's supposed to be. So as you become an adult, then the adventure becomes a greater adventure. More like Raiders of the Lost Ark or Star Trek. Okay? Well, so who's in charge of this great adventure? It's God. He's in charge. He knows what's good. See, He made you. He's the creator of all things. He's the Lord of all realms. He's much smarter than you are. And He knows what's good for you. But you, see, it's not totally your fault. You're born with a ego nature that you inherit. You inherit the fallen nature. And then you grow to be a big ego, which is okay. You have to. But then, once you're a big ego, then maturity is what? What is maturity then? It's becoming less emotional. See? Becoming wiser. Having more understanding. See? So, but most people, they never get there. They never get past being just a big ego. And then they continue to grow as an ego. They become more and more prideful, more and more stubborn, more and more lost, more and more stuck in their ways, more and more angry, and then they never grow. To a large extent, that's what trauma is. See, the ones that want to have power over you, see, the ones that want to be your master, they don't want you to grow, to become like a Christ or a Paul. They don't want that. Or an Einstein. Remember Einstein? You know, he didn't get along. He didn't do very well in school. He didn't. One of the teachers, math teachers, hated him. You know why he hated him? Because Einstein used to sit in the back of the room with a grin on his face. How many of you had a teacher that hated someone who had a grin on their face? How many of you sat down at the dinner table and you're grinning or giggling about something and happy, and then you get slapped? Wipe that grin off your face. See? Well, the powers that be, they don't like a grin. They want to be taken seriously because they're very pompous. They want to be taken seriously, and they want to be in charge of everything. How many of you had someone in your family, your mother perhaps, or someone who was in charge of everything, every little thing? Then you don't grow. A lot of times kids are rebellious because they're fighting for their selfhood. They don't want to be smothered. Okay? So there's a lot to learn. Well, so the more understanding, understanding leads to understanding. And forgiveness leads to more forgiveness and to letting go. See? To a large extent, the traumas are the shock of it and the betrayal of it, and then the emotions of it that lock you in. See? So more and more with understanding in this light, in God's light, this intuition. The more you see, the more you let go. So to a large extent, life is a process of letting go, becoming free. Becoming free. Okay? Now, some people have the right idea, like, a lot of people are interested in decluttering. One lady became an expert on decluttering. She sold 1 million books because everybody's interested in cleaning up the clutter in their life, because they all know how we hang on to stuff. We hang on to memories and pictures and old clothes and old shoes and old things until our life is filled with clutter. So we sensed it. Just let it go. See, so I understand that. But it has to go deeper. It's these traumas, childhood traumas and other traumas that keep people held down. So I want people to be free. So I went on the radio, mainly to talk about, one thing that causes people to hang on to the past and never grow past it is resentment. Big mistake. So I began talking about that, about letting go of resentment, about being more forgiving. People don't know what being more forgiving means. They think you have to be nice to someone who hurt you, or be friends with them, or pretend nothing happened. No, it's not that at all. Forgiveness simply means letting go of the resentment. That's all. See, someone did you wrong, you let go of the resentment. Just don't hate them anymore. See that they couldn't help themselves. Someone did it to them. See? And then you don't have to have anything to do with them ever again. See, you can shake the dust from your sandals and move on with your life. See? Sometimes someone did you wrong when you were a kid and now they're gone. They're dead, or you don't know where they're at. You can just forgive them in the spirit. You just forgive them. You let go of the resentment and you're free of them. You're free to move on, see? So a lot of people have learning blocks. Resentment is behind it. Of course, there shouldn't have been pressure in the first place, or the wrong educational techniques in the first place, or the wrong atmosphere in the first place. It shouldn't have happened, but it did. See? But if you can let go of the resentment, then you're free. So I began to talk to people about things like that. This was 28 years ago.